In today's show, the Trailblazers lose their season opener in an entertaining game that showed us exactly who this team is. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter, Mike Richmond. You're listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen. Coming at you each and every weekday, Monday through Friday, so make it a part of your daily routine. Make it your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same. Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's show, we're talking Blazers home opener. Blazers season opener, a 118-114 loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves. I thought this game was dang fun. I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was well played. I thought both teams looked pretty good. I thought the Blazers also showed us exactly who they were. This was an identity confirming, identity affirming, identity maybe establishing game in so many ways, good and the bad, the really good stuff and some of the frustrating stuff right at the end. This one came down to the final 2 minutes, and the Blazers don't have one of the best scorers in the league on their team, and the Minnesota Timberwolves happen to. We'll do our fastest recap in the West. We will get into my thoughts about identity, plus some other odds and ends from this game. If you're new to the program, fast recap in the West, we're gonna run through it. Welcome. Here's how we do it. Jeremy Grant comes off the bench. He's first time coming off the bench in 5 years. The Blazers start Drew Holiday, Shane Sharp, Tumani Kamara, Denny Avdia, and Donovan Clingan. I think this is the correct starting lineup, and Jeremy Grant responded really positively. The Blazers up 35-33 after one. They had 9 assists on 11 made baskets in the first quarter. They hit 5 of 9 from 3. The offense was humming. The defense was doing enough. They were playing pretty darn well. They're up 4 at halftime. Jeremy Grant, 16 off the bench in the first half, and the Blazers with just 5 turnovers in the opening 2 quarters. That's how you build a lead against a good Wolves team. Blazers up 7 after 3. Donovan Clingan off a broken play. Blazers get a steal at midcourt after trying to hold for one of the last shots of the quarter, or hold for a late shot in the quarter, but they get a steal. Donovan Clingan kind of rushes to put one up with still about 5 or 6 seconds left. Cash. Blazers, Wolves can't score at the buzzer. Blazers up 95-88 after 3. They're up 7. But this one's going to come down to the wire. Wolves take the lead back for the first time in the fourth quarter with just over 3 minutes remaining in the game. But the Blazers, when Tumani Kamara hits the second of 2 free throws, he hit them both, but he hits the second one, puts the Blazers up 112, 111, 2:06 to go. Let's play some basketball. This one is going to be decided in the final 2 minutes. A crunch time game for the Blazers, who had played really well up to this point. Now you're going to need to figure out a way to score a couple times so when it matters. Yeah. Julius Randle misses on the following possession. Drew Holiday kind of pushes in transition and takes a pull-up 3. Drew hadn't shot particularly well from 3. I thought Drew Holiday played really well in this game other than just not making 3-pointers. Misses an open, but pull-up 3 in transition. And Wolves come the other way. They're still down 1. They need a bucket. They hadn't gone to they'd run an ISO for Julius Randle, and then that turned into a 2-man game within Jaden McDaniels, and Anthony Edwards doesn't touch the ball, and so he's going to get it on this possession. They just give it to him way up top, like at the top of the key, and let him kind of go to work on Jeremy Grant. I think he pushed off. I think it's like a fully straightened his arm into Jeremy Grant's chest. I also think Grant kind of embellished. I don't love the flop there, but when Grant falls down, Anthony Edwards, who again probably did get away with the push-off, cashes in a 3-pointer, bang, Wolves go up 114-112 with 1:14 left. Blazers get a really chaotic possession. They go the other way. They almost turn the ball over. They do turn the ball over. They get the ball back. Finally, at the end of this chaos, the ball just ends up in Jeremy Grant's hands in the corner. It's a pretty darn good look. He's fading a little bit, but he's been awesome to this point, and this is a very clean corner look, and he just misses it. Blazers missed, the Drew Holiday 3 is not a great 3, but it's open, and Jeremy Grant 3 is a legitimately very good shot, and he just misses it. Wolves come down. Terrence Shannon Jr. drives. He misses a layup in a crowd, but Rudy Gobert, the Blazers are playing small, crashes, dunks home, emphatically dunks home the miss. Blazers all of a sudden down 4 with 32 seconds left. They got to drop a play. They get the ball to Denny Avdija on the move. He drives, attacks, gets fouled, hits 2 free throws, 28.8 seconds left. Blazers are going to need a stop and a score to force overtime or win the game. You know who's going to get it. Number 5 on the T-Wolves. He's sitting on 39 points. Toumani Camara is going to try to stop him. The Blazers have they want to send Anthony Edwards to his right. I saw when I was in the locker room, a little pregame scouting video. It's like when he ISOs, Anthony Edwards likes to go left. Well, he ISOs and goes left. Good defense by Toumani Camara, but a comfort shot for Anthony Edwards. Ant gets to his left. Step back, going left, cash. Wolves take a 4-point lead with 7 seconds left. Blazers are in desperation mode. They don't score. Wolves win 118-114. That's your fastest recap in the West. This was a really fun game until the final 2 minutes. A really fun game. I thought the Blazers, for the most part, played pretty dang well. Jeremy Grant, 29 points off the bench on 10 of 14 shooting. I'll talk a little bit more of him at the end of the show. But, he was 10 of 14 from Jeremy. He responded in the way you want him to respond. He responded the way you want him to respond. I had said on the show, I was a little worried about Jeremy Grant maybe letting go of the rope. If he came off the bench and maybe not having the buy-in. He came in and was intense. I thought he was awesome on defense. I thought he was really, really good on made his shots on offense and was aggressive on both ends of the floor. I thought he was just sharp game. Denny Avdija didn't shoot well, 6 of 16 and missed all of his threes, 0 of 6. But I thought you got the Denny game you wanted with this sort of with the aggression. Maybe he didn't pass. He didn't have the assist numbers that he had in previous games, but 20 and 7, he was good. Toumani Camara hit 2 threes early, and it's if he shoots like that, he's going to be special. Didn't make any threes after that first quarter. Really rough shooting night for Shaedon Sharpe, 5 of 20, just 15 points. But everybody who played in this game was good. Everybody who played in this game was pretty good. I think Sharpe was probably the only regular who wasn't very good. Young Hansen, who we'll talk about at the end of the show, was straight up bad in his NBA debut. 5 points 5 minutes and scored just 2 points on free throws. Has yet to make a shot in the NBA. Welcome to the league, rookie. It happens. Game 1 of 82 for a long career. I guess you'll probably remember it because this is his debut, but it's this is the growing pains that a player like him is just going to have. But I thought the Blazers got exactly what they could have wanted from Matisse Thybulle. I thought the Blazers pretty much got exactly what they would have wanted from the Chris Murray minutes. I thought Blake Wesley, for as sort of chaotic and ineffective he can be on offense, I thought he was chaotic and fantastic on defense, just everywhere. I thought Donovan Clingan really battled. They ended up turning the ball over a lot in the second half, but just 15 for the game and only 10 in the second half. They had some meaningful ones late. They crushed the offensive glass. They shot really well early, but didn't finish shooting, really, really well. But this was entertaining. The building was rocking. I thought they played with great energy. I thought they played with great purpose, and they were really competitive down to the final 2 minutes. And the Wolves have a dude who can you save us type of jump shooting, and the Blazers don't have that. Let's talk about this though, because what I think this was very earnestly was exactly the Blazers' identity. This is exactly who they are. They showed us exactly the team they are. The good parts, the bad parts. This is who they are. Let's talk about that a little bit more to close in the second segment. Join me there, won't ya? First, though, I want to tell you that today's program is brought to you by Mint Mobile. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint, their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. You can say yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for just $15 a month. Mint makes it simple. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk-to-text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can even bring your own phone and keep your same number and all your contacts. So you're going to get the same quality service you had before, but for a fraction of the price. Plus, the setup is super easy. If you're ready to say yes to saying no, make the switch at mintmobile.com/lockedonnba. That's mintmobile.com/lockedonnba. Upfront payment required of $45 is equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time new customer offer for the first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. Today's program is also brought to you by Rougiette. Let's be real. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. You've probably heard them before. It's just stress, just tired. Happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support, and that's where Rougiette comes in. Rougiette.com offers a fast-acting, doctor-prescribed ED treatment designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rougiette makes it easy to get started. You just connect with a board-certified doctor, which is 100% online, so there's no awkward waiting rooms and no in-person appointments. If you're prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. The process is fast, simple, and private, and it's all handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back the moments that matter. So visit rugiet.com/lockedonnba to get 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com/lockedonnba. And don't forget to use our code LOCKEDONNBA so they know we sent you. Rougiette, stop making excuses, start making moves. All right. Prior to the game, Chauncey Billups talked about, he was being asked, like, what's your message to the team? Kind of just like corny pregame questions when he's done a lot of interviews. Like, what else are we going to ask this guy? And he said that, like, he wasn't worried about, like, the messaging because his messaging has been the same for weeks. What he wants to see from his team is to play with intention, to know your personnel, to know, like, here's the game plan, here's what we want to do. Play to the plan and play with intention. And I don't think you could say otherwise in this game. I thought the Blazers played with such tremendous intention. Dudes diving on the floor, blocking shots, swarming the Wolves. Just they were really, really, really good on defense. At the very end of the game, Anthony Edwards makes 2 big shots. One of them, he maybe got away with an offensive foul, but even, like, who cares really? Like, basketball's like that, right? You're just gonna. Sometimes you don't get the calls to go your way. Like, when you get down to the final 2 minutes of a game, sometimes bad luck comes up, right? Anthony Edwards hit some shots. Jeremy Grant missed a wide open look that he can make that would have given the Blazers the lead back. It's just sort of the nature of it, right? When you get down to that part of the game, you maybe wish you had an Anthony Edwards who you could really rely on, but, like, you've all of the great work you've done for the first 46 minutes can really just, like, be boiled down to making and missing shots. I don't think that's exactly what happened at the end of the game, but I thought the Blazers for the first 46 minutes, first 45 minutes of this game were tremendously fun. There was a lot of good vibes in the building, right? A lot of good vibes. I think people are excited about this season. Just anecdotally talking to listeners of this program who send emails and maybe comment in the YouTube section, or some of my friends who are big time Blazer fans. Like, I think there is a sense of anticipation and excitement about this team because they do have some talent, right? They are talented, and they don't seem like they're going to get punked, and they don't seem like they're a team that's going to sort of, like, lack the requisite effort and heart to be, like, competitive every night. And that's exactly what they were. The Wolves are a good basketball team, and the Blazers were right there with them for 46 minutes. I don't know, for 47 and a half minutes. It came down to a couple shots. And they play a brand of basketball you really like. I thought, the defense was what really stands out because they just play so hard, and they're swarming and they're flying around. They don't try to double team. They try to switch and they try to stay in front and recover. We saw a little bit of zone. We saw a lot of small ball. Talk about that in the third segment. But, like, I think this was just if the team I expect them to be is a team that plays really hard and is a very good defensive team and struggles on offense. And isn't that exactly what they were in a really entertaining way? This is their identity, right? They ended up shooting 13 of 42 from three. I don't think 42 is a bad number for this team. Like, I don't think that's too many threes. In fact, 42 threes and 35 free throws, I don't like. You want to get to the rim, you want to shoot three-pointers, you want to get to the free throw line. I think in terms of shot profile, this is what you want. But they just don't have a lot of elite bombers. Denny Avdia is probably not going to go over 6. Jrue Holiday was 1 for 7. And finished, he did not shoot well outside the arc. But they shot really well early. They had some good looks and clean looks they could have made late. The defense was there. The defense played with passion. I thought the offense, particularly early, was so just aesthetically pleasing, even if some of the results weren't exactly what you wanted. I think one thing I noticed very much so was sort of the intuitive way that everyone just seems to cut better with the understanding that cutting is a much more baked into this style of offense, right? Still you get some, hey, they're going to run some high pick and rolls and they're going to try to get guys free, right? They're not just they're not reinventing basketball, but they are playing with a more sort of movement driven and purpose intuitive cutting off of that movement driven offense. So you'll see guys who are non-attackers drive with the purpose to trigger cuts. Blake Wesley drives hard, knowing that when he drives baseline, get all the way into the paint, kind of start moving along that baseline. Guys cut middle. I watched the Jrue Holiday and Donovan Clingan kind of cut to the same space in the middle because it's that intuitive cutting. I thought Chris Murray had a nice little dump off, driving hard baseline, cut down the middle of the lane. I thought Matisse Thybulle had a couple that way. Guys who are sort of non-playmakers, non-scores off the bounce because the offense makes sense. You get that. Because not even just makes sense, because the offense has sort of some intuitive motion built into its rules. They got easy, cleaner looks out of it, and because of it, I think that was really valuable in a lot of different ways. I thought the offense looked good early. The ball moved. I thought they did a good job of swinging the ball and driving with an advantage, not waiting for a closeout, but sometimes when they weren't shooting threes, driving with an advantage, getting downhill and then playing off of that downhill drive. A lot of guys, I think the offense looked good. I think the defense was flying around and they were playing hard. I think this was a team that was a fun and entertaining brand of basketball. And then kind of in a way that is very also part of their identity. When they need to score in crunch time, it is not 100% clear where that offense is going to come from, right? You think it's going to come from Denny, and you think it might come from Shaedon Sharpe, but Shaedon Sharpe wasn't in the game at crunch time because he really struggled in this game. He really struggled. I think some of it, a little bit of it was some bad shot selection, but I think a lot of it was mostly just shooting bricks. I think most of it, this was a brick-related struggle. He was 2 for 11 inside the arc. He's 2 for 11 on twos. He's a great finisher. Missed some shots around the rim. Obviously, the Wolves have some size to contest shots around the rim, but Sharpe's was special there last year, and he just wasn't very good. So he's out of the game at the end of the game. They just don't have a ton of shot creators. Who's going to go get a bucket? So you have to rely on this sort of egalitarian drive, kick, drive, get the advantage type of thing. It probably has to start with someone who can create that advantage. And at some point, if it's not Sharpe in the game, it's very reliant on Denny Avdia. Not that he's incapable of it, but it is it puts more on his plate. And at some point, it's potentially unfair, but I don't think we're there yet. But you get down to the final 3 minutes. And the Blazers in the final 2 minutes scored 2 points on, made no field goals in the final 2 minutes, missed their shots, including one late, but, missed a transition 3 and missed an open corner 3. And the only points they get is a Denny drive and a couple free throws. I think this is part of their identity too, is the struggling. They're struggling to get when the games they play incredibly fast, right? They're pushing, they're playing in transition, sometimes to a fault, but I thought they weren't very efficient pushing off turnovers, but they're getting turnovers, they're getting out and running, they're diving on the floor, they're pushing ahead in transition, to try to create advantages. they could still, like I said in a previous episode, probably throw the ball ahead like as opposed to just push it with the dribble, but they're pushing it with the dribble. I thought they created some advantage. Blake Wesley had one in the first half where he just like pushed really hard with his dribble, found Matisse. Matisse gets an advantage, like all, like simple things, right? They're playing a sort of a brand of basketball that's fun and enjoyable, but like when you get down into the end of the game, you're not just going to probably be able to just push. They kind of did sort of have two chaotic go fast possessions, but like if you need to score in crunch time, you probably need to like get into an action and a set that you're comfortable with, that gets the matchups you want, and let your guys go to work, like just kind of the nature of the sports. And then they might not have that, and I think that's part of their identity. Awesome defensive team. I thought they were very, very good on defense in this game. They crushed the offensive glass. They played really fast. They forced a bunch of turnovers. They struggled to shoot from three, and they didn't have a go-to scorer in crunch time. If this wasn't the most identity-affirming, exactly who we thought they are, but in an enjoyable way type of performance, I don't know what is. Let's talk a little bit Jeremy Grant. Let's talk Young Hansen and a couple other things in the small ball included in the third segment. Join me there, won't ya? First, though, let's talk about underwear. My underwear, and if you're lucky, could be your underwear too. Skims makes underwear for everybody. Traditionally a brand that makes femme cuts of underwear, but now they're making underwear for men. And listen, I was intrigued, and Skims was kind enough to send me over a couple pairs, and they're super, super comfortable. Like, listen, they've got cuts for everyone, but particularly if you're looking for men's styles, boxer briefs, classic briefs, all designed with the perfect balance of comfort and style. Like if you are someone who works out, you're going to be comfortable in these Skims. If you're someone who is just chilling in your desk chair, you're going to be comfortable in Skims, because that's what they're doing. They're making really comfortable underwear, the type of underwear that you put on and then don't have to consider, and you can do whatever you need to do with because they're making comfortable clothes, lightweight material that feels amazing and like you're wearing nothing at all. You don't have to consider them. The highest compliment you can pay to some undergarments. So shop Skims Men's at skims.com and let them know we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select my show in the drop-down menu that follows. Today's program is also brought to you by DUER Jeans. They're making really stinking comfortable pants. I'm rocking the Relax Fit Taper in black. I'm doing my thing. I'm going to work. I'm and looking presentable. I'm going out to dinner and looking presentable. But I'm also running around the playground with my kid, and I'm just chilling at home, and I'm looking comfortable because DUER has 5 times the stretch of traditional denim. They combine classic jeans wear style with the kind of comfort and performance you get from athletic wear. It's the best of both worlds. DUER are the pioneers of blending technical innovation with everyday clothing. They invented the original performance denim, and there's a reason why they call them the world's most comfortable pants. But you don't have to take my word for it. Like, you should take my word for it, but you can also just go try a pair yourself. DUER just opened a store right here in Portland, so you can feel the difference firsthand. Check them out. 820 Northwest 23rd Avenue, over there on 23rd. Go to the store and mention my promo code LOCKEDONPortland to get 15% off in store on your first order, or you can check them out online. Shop DUER.com/LOCKEDONPortland for 15% off. That's shop DUER.com/LOCKEDONPortland. Still a pass first point guard. I'm still Mike Richmond. You're still listening to Locked On Blazers. A couple notes here. Young Hansen makes his NBA debut, checks in. Oh, wait. Hold on, rewind. 3 minutes and 57 seconds into the game, Chauncey Billups challenges a possession call in the first quarter. This madness has to stop. We cannot stand for this. There's just no... Okay. Someone within the Blazers has to get to Chauncey on this. Someone higher up. I don't think it can be an assistant coach. If you work in the Blazers front office, or heck, if you listen to this, timestamp this, send this to someone in the Blazers front office. There is no value in challenging a possession call 3 minutes and 57 seconds into the game. 3 minutes and 57 seconds of the game, challenging an out-of-bounds call. There's just no value. It's just a nonsense challenge in a game that came down to the final 2 minutes. Whew. Okay. Anyways, Young Hansen checks in the game. 7 minutes and 13 seconds left. Chauncey got to stop. Young Hansen checks into the game. 7 minutes and 13 seconds remaining in the first quarter. NBA debut. And he is guarding Jaden McDaniel because the Wolves have Naz Reid and Julius Randle out there. Julius Randle's just a terrible matchup. Too strong, too shifty with his dribble. Naz Reid is a perimeter guy. He moves around. He's too quick. You want Hansen closer to the rim. So they're trying to put him on Jaden McDaniel, and they're clearly telling him to sag way off. We're not worried about Jaden McDaniel shooting threes. You play way off him. First possession, plays way off him, but he's just hanging out in the paint. In fact, he was at the foul line, and he was kind of got a little bit lost trying to track man and ball, and they ended up getting a little mid-range jumper right in his area, and Hansen was a little bit out of position, or just a little slow to react, rather. Second time down the floor, still guarding Jaden McDaniel, gets called for a 3-second violation because he's deep into the paint. They're telling him to sag off. The ask is clear with what they're trying to do there. Put Hansen on a non-shooter, keep him close to the rim, use his strengths there, but he just kind of failed the test right away. They ended up taking him out after 3 minutes. He comes back in with Rudy Gobert on the floor. Okay, maybe this will make a little more sense. He ends up he draws a foul, but he ends up on his only shot attempt getting blocked. Hansen just looked really far away. There was a brief period when Jaden McDaniels checked out. The Wolves made a sub, and then Hansen was guarding Terrence Shannon Jr. His first two, assignments to the league are Jaden McDaniels and Terrence Shannon Jr. They're clearly trying to keep him out of the pick and roll action. First thing they do, Terrence Shannon Jr. comes up, sets a pick for Anthony Edwards. Bang! It's a little bit trouble on defense. Just looked out of sorts, and it's right now his offense is in a place where you can sort of. Okay, well, we can derive value from him on that end. He just looked out of place, right? He's a young guy. He's 20 years old. He's making a transition. He looked far away in this game. And the Blazers, because he looked far away, played a ton of small ball. Hansen did not play in the second half. He only played 5 minutes and 16 seconds. They just went small. They played Donovan Clingan, and Clingan didn't play a ton, but 30 minutes, that's a lot for him. He's not going to play much more than that. I think that's right at the max. He played 30 minutes and 1 second. That's probably, and I thought Clingan looked for the most part fine. He didn't have sort of a monster stats game, but I thought he was decent. He took 5 shots total. 4 of them were threes. That is. I'm not sure I love that from Donovan Clingan, but that might just be he doesn't have a lot of game inside the arc, so maybe that's how he can get field goal attempts off, period, right now as the player he is. But the Blazers just played without a center a ton, and man, did I love some of these lineups. I love some of the small ball stuff. The Blazers came out with this brief defensive group with Drew Holiday, Matisse Thybulle, Denny Avdia, Toumani Camara, and Clingan. And then they took Clingan out and put Jeremy Grant in with that group. And they were awesome. Everywhere, just so much length, flying around, switching everything, allowing to play pressure and to use a coachy term, gapping really hard. When a guy drives, they're playing way off their man, trying to get into the driving lanes, making guys drive into a crowd. I thought Drew Holiday and Jeremy Grant specifically did a really good job in those help drives with Anthony Edwards. That small ball stuff looked great. I don't know if you could do it every night, and they were getting hurt a little bit on the glass, and that's a sacrifice you kind of have to make when you take your best defensive rebounder, Donovan Clingan, off the floor, but that's going to be part of who they are, and that the ability to bring Matisse Thybulle and Chris Murray in, 2 guys who allow you to continue to play small and with really wreak havoc. Blake Wesley playing really aggressive off the bench, all really getting after it. He was just so forcing a lot of sort of chaotic turnovers and had a steal in the backcourt. And he was just, he was everywhere on defense. The small ball stuff was really fun. Quickly on Jeremy Grant to close the show. So Grant was great, right? He led 29 points off the bench, 10 of 14 shooting, grabbed 3 boards, and had 1 assist, which is classic Jeremy Grant night, but hyper efficient shooting night. And was their best offensive player. He played at the end of the game and Shaedon Sharpe didn't, and it was a totally reasonable decision by the coach. Maybe in the sort of the grand scheme, I don't love it, but in this very specific one game, it was the right move, because Shaden didn't have it and Jeremy Grant was cooking, and they kind of wanted to keep the rest of their identity as it was. After the game, though, Jeremy Grant comes up to the podium, and he like in this weird evasive way, pretty obviously not stoked to be coming off the bench. It's asked like, so, what does it mean to come off the bench? I just want to play basketball. Like, okay, but does it change how your rhythm? Of course. Yeah, of course. I was like, okay. And I noticed that in the second quarter, he hits a corner three and lets out a roar. And that is an uncommon Jeremy Grant roar. He also had a play in the third quarter where he got fouled, and he said, I think it's a family show, but he said MF, which stands for my friendship. And he just yelled my friendship so loud after an and one. And like, just a sort of like demonstrative intensity from Jeremy Grant that we haven't often seen. And I asked him, like, this seemed like you played with a little extra fire. And he smiled when I asked the question. He was like, yeah, I was feeling good. And I was like, good? Yeah, good. I think there's a little more to it than that. I do not think Jeremy Grant, based on that particular interview, is like stoked to come off the bench. But it doesn't matter whether he likes it or not. The job of the coach in some ways is to give someone an assignment that makes the most sense for the team, even if they dislike it, and then still be able to get the most out of them, even if they dislike it. And if Jeremy Grant being kind of pissed at his role leads to him playing 27 minutes and scoring 29 points and making all these dang shots, like, great. That's ideal. That sounds like an absolutely excellent outcome. So I wouldn't say that like Jeremy Grant, based on that interview, seemed like settled about the role, and it's certainly well shy of happy, but this is the way you want him to respond to feeling like he doesn't like his role. This is exactly what you want from him. Exactly what you want is that they need his offense. And I'll mention this, and I think this is important. I mentioned in preseason that Chauncey Billups was running these like bench mobs, like all, 5 bench players. And I was like, this has to be a preseason thing. And thank goodness it was. There was one brief stretch in the fourth quarter when Shaden Sharp was on the court with 4 bench guys. Other than that, every single minute of the game, at least 2 of Denny Avdia, Jeremy Grant, and Shaden Sharp were on the court at all times. Those are your best offensive players. Those are the guys who can create their own shot. They're not all ideal. They're not all perfect. Denny didn't shoot particularly well in this game. Shaden Sharp didn't shoot particularly well in this game. But that is a necessity of this team. They need Jeremy Grant. They do. They need him. They need a guy who can make threes. They need a guy who can drive. They need a guy who can get to the free throw line. Denny took 10. Jeremy took 6. These are important ways to get for a team like the Blazers to score. They need Jeremy Grant. And Billups did a good job of making sure that they had pairings on the court at all times, Denny and Shea, or Shea and JG, or JG and Denny at all times, that allowed them to have multiple ways to attack. It might not always be perfect. Might sometimes be way better than this because Denny Avdia and Shaden Sharp make shots. But I liked that. And maybe it's not ideal for Jeremy, and it is what it is. He probably hates it. He's allowed to hate it. But if he fuels that sort of disinterest or like dissatisfaction with his role into just absolutely hooping, you really you've got something there, right? And that's sort of the challenge for Billups is, I don't think Grant's interview was at the podium, like it was in front of the cameras and like it was up on the and maybe if he had been in another setting, he would have been either more forthcoming with his answers or whatever. Like I think he's worse in the big camera under the light setting than he is in one-on-one. I know he is. I've talked to him in both settings in the last 4 days. So maybe some of it was just like the way he's going to sort of communicate publicly his thoughts is different in that setting, but I did not come away thinking that he was like into it, but I did come away with this game thinking like Jeremy Grant hooped. And if you get that, it's all going to work out. This is who this team is. I think we saw it. And it looks like a very fun brand of basketball. This looks like a really enjoyable team. This looks like a team that is going to be like entertaining and fun to watch. And I don't know after one game that they lose what more you could ask for. You know what they're going to bring, and they freaking bring it. They play with a real sense of identity and brand and purpose. You know who they are. So come back, we'll do more shows the rest of the week. They play again on Friday. That's what we do 5 days a week. Wherever you get podcasts. Also on YouTube. Game 1 in the books. Tell your friends about the program. I appreciate you listening. I'll talk to you soon.